In this episode of heART Talk, I'd like to talk about the very definition of music, not any specific genre of music, but in general. Now, it's funny that when you ask any musician or music student or even professionals in music, the definition of music, you get very different answers. Now, that's not the same for other things. For example, food. If you ask people what food is, you get some fairly consistent answers from everybody. It's something that we put through our mouths, we digest through our digestive system, and it's something that provides us nutrition and energy for our bodies. But funnily, that's not the same with music. Some people say music is all about sounds. But then, think about it. Not all sounds are music. The sound of a baby crying might be music to the ears of the mother, but it would not be the same for other people. Some others would describe music as rhythms. Now, not all music have rhythms or rhythmic patterns inside it. So it can get very confusing. So what is an acceptable description of music? Now, the description that I like to go with is organized sound. Music is organized sound. Or when we organize anything, we put it into different categories. We have files, we have compartments, we have classifications, we have labels for them. This is the way we file things so that we are able to get some sort of order. We are able to organize music into these categories. The first category that we could possibly organize sound into is in terms of pitch. When we organize sound in terms of pitch, we take the lowest possible sound that we can listen to or hear and the highest possible sound that we can hear. And then we divide that into very fine categories. These become our musical notes. They vary according to frequency. Different systems of music have different names for these pitches. In the Western system, we say do, re, mi, or we have the solfa system, or they use letters of the alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. In the Chinese system, they use numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And in the Indian system of music, we use the sa-pa system, or sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. So different names, different labels, but essentially distributing sound according to pitch. And so this is one way in which we organize sound. The second way in which we can organize sound is in terms of time. Now, when we change sound according to time, we get a concept which we call tempo. And tempo has to do with the duration of the sound as it's played or the interval in between the sounds. Now, most of us know a very common word. It's called beat. We hear this word all the time. But what does beat mean? It's literally a beat. It's a mark that we make in time. And we make this mark with a sound, a single sound, any sort of sound. It could be the clap of a hand, it could be the hit of a drum, it could be a note that you play on your instrument. So we make this mark and we have another mark and another mark. And when these marks have a constant interval in between each of them, then the concept is called tempo. So tempo is the consistent or constant interval in between your beats. The bigger the interval in between your beats, it becomes a slower tempo. The shorter the interval in between your beats, it becomes a faster tempo. Now, this gives rise to the question, how long can tempo be? Or rather, how slow can tempo be? As an example, if I was to come and clap my hands at exactly 12 midnight on the 1st of January of next year, and then I come back the following year at 12 midnight on the 1st of January and clap my hand again. And then the following year I repeat that pattern. Does that constitute tempo? Logically, the answer would be no. Well, how slow then? What about once a month, or once a day, or once an hour? Would that constitute tempo? The answer is fairly simple. Tempo can be as slow as you can physically feel without depending on any external instrument like a metronome or a stopwatch. So you have to be able to feel the duration and regulate that duration in between your beats within you. The same answer goes for how fast can tempo be. So is it 10 beats a second, 100 beats a second, 1,000 beats a second? Again, this is hard to answer in those terms. But tempo can be as fast as you can distinguish the interval between each beat. We should be able to hear that interval with our ears. We should be able to hear and discern that interval with our minds. It should not sound like one continuous sound. So this is the concept of organizing sound according to time, in which we derive tempo and then rhythm. Another way we can organize sound is in terms of volume. If we go to our stereo or we go to our computers, when we increase the volume button, the sound or the music that is playing will sound different. It will sound louder. So it's fairly easy to understand the concept of volume, but it plays a prominent role in music. The final way in which we can organize sound is in terms of tone or timbre. Now this has to do with the instrument that we use to produce that sound. For example, if we are vocalists or singers, we use our voice, and the quality of our voice will depend very much on the way our voice box is shaped and the way our voice box is moved to produce that sound. Likewise, if we are playing any particular instrument, a guitar or a sitar or a violin, it will very much depend on the materials used to make that particular instrument. It is also dependent on how well seasoned the instrument is. Many a musician will claim that the older an instrument, the more seasoned it is and the more it resonates to produce a brighter or richer sound. Besides the instrument itself, there are little changes that you can make to the instrument. For example, to change the strings, to treat the bridge of the instrument to produce a better tone or better timbre of your music. So in these four ways, we are able to organize sound. And mixing all this up together, we get rich music. From the concept of pitch comes the concept of musical notes, and then scales, and then melodies, and harmony, and so on. By organizing sound in terms of time, we get the very precious concept of tempo, from which we will get rhythm and rhythmic patterns. And then by adding in various volume controls and by using the appropriate instrument to produce a good tone, we get good and perfect music. In summary, whenever you are practicing music and you're trying to define music, think of the first three descriptions of music: sound, notes, and tempo. If you can get these three correct and these three right, you're well on your way to producing good music. This has been a heART Talk.